We are now already in the middle of this AI revolution. When you travel throughout the corners of African continent, you have the worry that Africa is not fully integrated into this AI tsunami revolution. Because otherwise, the real competition may not be between China or the United States or China and Europe. The real competition in the coming years may be AI versus Homo sapien.
Wow.
We need to be prepared, and we need to really speed up.
This is a small extract from what Professor Justin Lin had to say during his visit to Rwanda. He challenged Africa to rethink its role in the AI revolution, warned against false geopolitical choices, and offered insightful information on how Africa can truly develop. Let's watch the rest of the video.
Africa needs to use your own brain power to make up your own judgment. In the world of today, you hear a lot of talks about whether Africa should be forced to make a choice between China versus the United States. I think that's the wrong choice. The real choice for Africa, as well as for the rest of mankind, is whether the United States is doing the right thing or is doing the wrong thing, or whether China is doing the right thing or doing the wrong thing. If the United States is doing the right thing, work with the United States. But if the United States is doing the wrong thing, why should you bother about working with the United States or following its leadership? Similarly, if China is doing the right thing, why don't you want to work with China? And, God forbid, if China is doing the wrong thing, why should you work with China? Don't be forced by any other country to make a choice which will not serve your fundamental interest. Now, when I traveled a little bit in Rwanda yesterday, in Kigali, let me tell you my real observation. I think Kigali is in better shape today compared with China back in 1978, when China started to reform and opening to the outside world, attracting FDI into China. The philosophical point I want to emphasize is that if China can do this in 46 years, Rwanda and Africa can do it in the coming 4 decades or so.
I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure about that. And the reason is very simple. We don't have patriotic leaders in Africa right now. Okay? We have sell-out leaders. And that's the problem. You know, when you study outside of your country, outside of a continent, and everything you studied, it's about other people's civilization, culture, and then you go back to your country, you're gonna do everything that you learn that belongs to that country. When you learn those things and you start behaving and acting like them, that's the reason why we have sellout leaders, because they did not were formed in Africa with African culture, tradition, philosophy, spirituality. No, they learn Western culture and they try to bring that back in Africa, and it doesn't work, and it will never work. That's easy. China did that because China went back to its own culture, tradition, language, scriptures, philosophy. And from there, they developed their own country. That's the difference between China and Africa. Okay? We are not developing our country based upon our own situation. By situation, I mean our own tradition, culture, philosophy. That's the reason why we are losing. And then we have a lot of leaders that are working with the West against their own population. And you want them to change, and you want the continent to change. No, a lot of presidents in Africa are there, like 50 years, 60 years in power, and they do nothing, all the same things. They're getting older, and they are not developing the country. And you tell me those are the people that you want them to change the country, to develop the country, to push us forward. No, it's not gonna happen. Let's keep pushing, guys.
Have faith in yourself. China is a success story which can be repeated by the great people here in Rwanda and the great people here in Africa. Now, another piece of advice. What is the foundation upon which security should be based, not only for Rwanda but for Africa? Security never exists in a vacuum. Security should be based on several things, which are the pillars. One is maintain stability at home. The other one is keep peace with your neighbors. And the third one, as Deng Xiaoping, for whom I had the great honor to work with before, development is the hard truth. Develop, develop, develop. In that context, whichever country which can really help you to achieve your development goal, he should be a friend. But don't be diverted. Don't be confused by some other country coming to you, say, no, let's put a premium on certain other things, on values, etc. And I do not want to build a bridge or a highway or a railway or a power station in your country. But if those countries which build these infrastructure projects in your country, they are not really meant good for you. No, that's not the truth. Decide with yourself. Use your own judgment as to which countries are really helping you to beef up infrastructure connectivity, your manufacturing capabilities, and in the African context in itself. Power generation. You need power. You need to generate power. I understand, even in this great country of Rwanda, you may not have sufficient amount of power. Focus on that. Get that done. That will provide a much better context, whereby security for Rwanda, security for Africa as a continent will be better reinforced.
I agree with that. That's true. That's fact. To a certain degree. I mean, I always say it. We need to work with those who want to work with us. And at the same time, we don't have friends. We need to realize that. We need to keep that in mind. We don't have friends. Okay? The same people that are trying to help us are the same people that are trying to harm us. Okay? Even China. Okay, Chinese are doing crazy stuff in Africa. Even though they are trying to help African countries to develop. Okay? They are polluting waters, rivers. They are illegally mining. Okay. Angola just kicked out a lot of them because of that. Polluting the river, illegal mining. So we need to be focused. And we need to be firm in what we want. We are doing a deal. Okay. I want the road. I want the cities. I want the unis. I want the hospitals. I want the bridges. I want the ports. Okay. But if you do something bad, you out. That's it. You out. And another thing, we the diaspora, we need to go back in Africa as well. We need to do the back and forth to help to develop, create businesses there. Because like I said, last year I was in Zanzibar and I saw Europeans, Asian, Indian, Turkish, living the soft life, buying everything, renting lands, opening businesses, restaurants, stuff like that. Living the soft life. And I was like, where are the diaspora? We need to be there. And we need to be in the government as well. Because we live in the West, we know the tricky things that they're doing. And we probably are the only one that can make those things happen, develop in the continent. I'm telling you. We have the knowledge, the vision, the understanding of the world. I'm not saying that Africans in Africa don't have that. They have that, but it's different. We live here in the West, so we know, we understand better than them. And we need to go there to be in the government positions. Prime Minister, President, we need to go there and be like that and beat that. If we still wait on them, we're gonna be here for 100 years more, the same. Never go to change. Okay, let's keep pushing, guys.
African Union should really be more consolidated so that eventually, I hope personally, for all the Security Council meetings of the United Nations Security Council, there will always be a representative representing Africa. So it is not one of the 15 member states of the Security Council of the United Nations, but African voices need to be fully reflected in the proceedings. And consultation need to be made for African wisdom and leadership, etc. And great leaders in Africa, especially great leader like President Karami, for example, need to lead Africa and lead the African nation to project the African voices to the United Nations General Assembly on the one hand, and especially in the Security Council.
That's a fact. And it's crazy to me that the African continent, a huge continent like that, you don't even have a seat at the table when it comes to Security Council in United Nations. That's insane to me. Those who are arming you are the ones taking the decisions and are the ones that have the veto. And you guys are sitting there and accepting that. That's why, for me, to me, it's crazy what's going on in the continent. Because you guys are sitting there and saying nothing. Why don't you guys say, hey guys, we're gonna leave the international institutions because we don't have a say, we don't have a voice. You guys talk about Africa, you guys are the veto, and we can do nothing. And you guys are the one arming us, creating the proxy wars and stuff like that, mining in our continent, stealing our resources. Your army are in our continent. And you are the one making the decisions and we have no decision. What the hell is that? China left the United Nations at the beginning of the creation. Why? Because China wanted a seat at the table. There were only 5 countries: France, UK, America, Russia. China said, I want a seat at the table as well. They said, no, we don't want you here. China said, okay, I'm leaving. They said, what? I'm leaving. They said, okay. We are going to give you the place at the table. And that's how China became the 5th member of the Security Council in the United Nations. Bold move. Leader. Proud. Self-esteem. But we don't have self-esteem. We accept everything they do. And do you want them to respect us? They will never respect us. We need to have bold leaders, patriotic leaders, Africa first leaders. You know what I mean? If we don't have that, it's impossible. They will never respect us. If we keep following behind them like that, that's crazy to me. Things need to change. Other than that, we're gonna be the same. We need a place at the table. We need a voice to be heard. Okay? Let's keep pushing, guys.
Now, the other thing, allow me to mention, is that while we always talk about securities on the one hand versus development, but these two things are intimately integrated. They cannot be separated. And allow me to warn all of us, we are now already in the middle of this AI revolution, artificial intelligence. I'm very much concerned about the AI divide. And the AI divide will exist between humans. For example, you with very sophisticated chips embedded in your brain, I without. between companies, between governments, between militaries, between cultures, and between civilizations. What we need to do is to really accelerate whatever we do to make sure no country is left behind, especially African countries. When you travel throughout the corners of African continent, you have the worry that Africa is not fully integrated into this AI tsunami, AI revolution. We need to speed up. We need to mobilize all resources. And I think the open source, the AI development as represented by DeepSeek in China represents a new trend. That means lower cost, enabling all participants to play a useful role, and Africa continent and all the African countries have a choice to really play a very significant role. Because otherwise, the real competition may not be between China or the United States or China and Europe. The real competition in the coming years may be AI versus Homo sapien.
Wow.
We need to be prepared, and we need to really speed up.
Professor Justin E. Fulin's perspective challenges the idea that Africa must choose between China and the United States. Instead, he urges the continent to choose what's truly right for its own development. Do you agree with his viewpoint? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your take.
Yeah. I mean, what do you guys think about that? I would like to hear your point of view, your perspective. Comment below. Yeah, to me, we have to change a lot of things here. We need to start with the leaders that we have. We need to change the way we view the world. We need to go back to our tradition, civilization, spirituality, culture, and educate our kids, our leaders, so that we can have African first mindset, Africa first leaders, patriotic leaders. And other than that, nothing gonna change. Things gonna be the same. You know what I mean? And we don't need that. You're not gonna lose this time. We are not going to lose. You're going to improve. And we are going to connect with the diaspora. Black in Europe, Black in America, Black Caribbeans, Black Afro-Latinos. And like I say, one family, different lineage, one tree, different branches. This is the African Minute. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel. Leave comment below. Tell me what you think. Let's have a debate. Let's talk. And watch the next video that's going to pop up here. And yeah, till next time. Take care of you and your family. Peace out.